My name isn't important, but for the sake of this record, call me Daniel Mercer. I've been with County Search and Rescue for 11 years. I've seen hypothermia twist fingers black. I've carried kids out of ravines. I've watched people breathe again because we made it in time. I know the difference between a bad call and a cursed one. This was the second kind. The page came in at 11:42 p.m. A solo hiker, male, 36, name Evan Rourke. Reported a compound fracture after a fall near an unmarked trailhead locals pretend doesn't exist. The dispatcher's voice, Lena, usually steady as concrete, hitched when she read the coordinates. She paused. Twice. Zone designation? I asked. Restricted, she said. Temporary night waiver pending. That's bureaucratic code for don't ask questions. We were given orders before we even lifted. No external lights, no spotlights, no flares. Minimal hover time. Land only if visually confirmed safe. Weapons authorized at pilot discretion. That last one doesn't get said lightly. Our pilot, Mark Ellis, didn't joke the way he normally did. He checked the fuel twice, then the weight again. We lifted into a moonless sky, and as the rotors spun up, that familiar narrowing of the world set in, the tunnel vision of purpose. Except this time, beneath it, something else crept in. Anticipation doesn't feel like fear. Fear feels colder. And Black Hollow that night felt cold in a way that didn't match the weather report. We crossed the boundary at 12:18 a.m. You can't see a restricted zone from the air. No fence, no flashing beacon, just forest and stone. But something shifted when we entered it. Even Mark felt it. He leaned forward slightly, scanning thermal. "Tell me again," he said over the intercom. "How bad is he?" "Broken leg, alert, stable when he called it in." Mark didn't answer. He was staring at the FLIR display. "Dan," he said quietly, "I've got 2 signatures. That's him and maybe a deer." "No," he said, "not a deer." One shape lay still near a shallow ravine, human-sized. That would have been Evan. The other stood near the tree line. It was massive, too tall, too dense, and it wasn't flickering like wildlife. It tracked us, not with panic, not with curiosity, with intention. Every time Mark drifted left, it adjusted. Right, it adjusted. It wasn't chasing, it was matching. "Hover," I said. "Not allowed," he replied. Below us, the larger heat signature began circling the clearing, slow at first, then faster, testing the perimeter like it understood boundaries better than we did. The still shape on the ground moved, an arm lifted weakly, or something that resembled one did. "I'm not landing," Mark said flatly. "We're right here," I shot back. 30 seconds. "Rules," he said. Rules. You can hide behind rules when you don't want to admit you're afraid. But I wasn't sure anymore whether he was afraid of the thing below us or of what would happen if we shined a light on it. As we climbed, it happened. The scream. You can rationalize a lot in a helicopter. Rotor wash warps sound, wind fractures it. Your brain stitches noise into meaning. But this wasn't random. It rose. It broke. It tried again. It had breath behind it. Mark didn't comment. He just climbed. The big heat signature followed us for several seconds, staying just outside the rotor wash, like it was studying the machine, learning its limits. Then it stopped. I kept staring down until the clearing disappeared into black. Neither of us spoke on the return flight. Back at base, the report I filed was sterile. Unsafe conditions, visual obstruction, unable to verify landing zone integrity. No mention of tracking movement, no mention of abnormal thermal mass, no mention of the scream. No one asked me to elaborate. That's the part that eats at me. If this had been wildlife, command would have demanded clarification. If this had been mechanical error, they'd have run diagnostics.
Instead, they signed off, like they'd been expecting it.
We went back at dawn. Sunlight is cruel. It strips the supernatural out of places and leaves you with dirt and trees and excuses. Black Hollow looked ordinary. Too ordinary. We hiked down to the coordinates. The ravine was shallow, the slope manageable. A broken leg wouldn't have killed him overnight. The blood told a different story. It was everywhere. Sprayed across bark 8 feet high, pooled in depressions, smeared in patterns that suggested movement, but not dragging, not clean pulling. It looked chaotic, frenzied. No boot prints leaving the scene. No animal tracks large enough to explain what we'd seen. No body. Just Evan's pack, torn open, his satellite phone cracked. His final GPS ping frozen in memory. Mark found something else. Deep impressions in soft soil near the tree line. Not paws, not hooves. Too elongated, too narrow. He didn't photograph them. He just stared, then covered them with loose dirt like he didn't want the shapes to exist. We searched until command called it off. Exposure, they ruled later. Exposure doesn't spray blood up tree trunks.
The file was sealed within a week. Coordinates redacted. Thermal footage archived under equipment anomaly. Weapons logs separated from the incident report. That's procedure when something falls outside public record, but not when a hiker dies. I've seen redactions before. Usually federal land disputes, training exercises, wildlife relocation. This was different. Lena wouldn't look me in the eye afterward. Mark transferred out 3 months later. 2 weeks after the incident, another call came in from a neighboring county. Same restricted classification, same night waiver delay. Different team responded. They didn't land either. Officially, nothing connects the cases. Unofficially, the heat signatures were described the same way. Large, stationary until approached, tracking, never rushing, never panicking, as if it knows helicopters can't stay long, as if it knows we're bound by rules.
I still fly. I still strap in when the tones drop. But there are zones I don't volunteer for anymore. Black Hollow is one of them. I tell myself we followed protocol. I tell myself landing in total darkness with something unknown below us could have cost more lives. But sometimes when the rotors hit that deep rhythmic pitch, I hear it again. That broken scream. Not long, not dramatic, just desperate. And sometimes I wonder if the larger heat signature wasn't hunting. Maybe it was waiting. Maybe it didn't attack until we left. Maybe the rule about lights isn't for our safety. Maybe it's so we don't see what's really standing at the tree line. If anything happens to me after posting this, let it be known. We were told not to use lights. And I think now it wasn't because of what we might hit. It was because of what might look back.